Hey guys, Caleb here, aka Curly Fry. I'm so excited to share with you one of my favorite programs for missions. So, we're in our ninth episode. Uh, our last episode was all about missions and how I came up with an idea to promote missions to kids, and where I had a goal to raise. Well, actually, I didn't even think that I could raise $1,000 with 15 regular attending kids, but it ends up that they actually brought in $1,300. And so this time I'm going to share with you about one of my favorite programs called BGMC. It's known as Boys and Girls Missionary Challenge. Now, this program is all about teaching kids how important it is to give to missions, because missions is the way that we can get the gospel spread out around the world. And so BGMC specifically is for kids in ministry missions around the world. So when kids give to BGMC, that money is only used for missionaries to buy supplies for kids ministry curriculum, prizes, whatever they need for kids related ministry. BGMC helps out with that. So here's just a couple of things to know about. One, if you want to know more about BGMC and who they are, you can go to bgmc.ag.org. This program is with the Assemblies of God, and it's been around since I don't even remember how long, but I grew up doing BGMC with Buddy Barrel as the mascot, bringing in the little container full of my coins to give. And so it's been around forever. It's tried and true. It's one of my favorites because through this program, you know that it's going specifically to help teach kids around the world about Jesus. And so you can go to that website, learn more about them. They have a shop there where you can purchase curriculum, which is really great, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Banners. They have pins and lanyards, a bunch of things for incentives for the kids. They have the little plastic buddy barrels. They're really cool. They're small, yellow, and they have a little a coin slot at the top that you can give to the kids for them to take home to collect the coins that way. But let me talk to you about how I used this curriculum. It's one of my favorites. So about a year and a half ago, I was coming out of doing a missions emphasis my own way, and I thought, well, why don't I do it this way, what they suggest? And it actually turned out really, really well. So you have, or when you buy the curriculum, sometimes they send it to you for free. That's how I use it. I never bought the curriculum, but the specific one that I used was volume 20, and it gave you, I believe, either 12 or 13 different highlights from different countries. So every month or every lesson, I guess you would say, focus on one country, a child in that country, the facts about that country, the living situations, the types of food that they ate, and even talked about missionaries that were in that specific country. So that's one of the things that I loved is we focused really on the country, the culture. We got to know how different kids lived around the world. And so what I did with that, since there's only 12, I think that what you're supposed to do is emphasize it once a month. But my goal was to put it in front of the kids every single Sunday. So for about a minute to 2 minutes, I always talked about missions, always talked about BGMC. And here's how I did it with this curriculum. So the curriculum comes with videos and slides, facts, a bunch of things that you can use. And so I downloaded all of the slides, and I chopped them up. So the first week would be, I'm just talking about the country, the facts about it, what it's like, what the flag looks like, the population, how many churches there are in that country. And then the next week, I'd introduce them to the kid that they follow. And so we see where they live, the kinds of food they eat, what they do on holidays, things like that. And then the next one, I would focus on the different types of food there. And that was fun because I never did this, but I thought it would be really cool. It also comes with recipes. So I thought it'd be fun to create something really easy that the kids can have and try that would be from that country. So it's just another way for them to really realize, oh, this is a real place. This is a place where kids need to know Jesus. And so that was one thing that I never did, but I always wanted to do it, but just never got the time to do it. And then the last week was usually the Sunday that we would take the offering, and that one was focused on the missionary there and what they're doing and how BGMC is helping that missionary tell kids about Jesus in that country. So that's one really easy way that you can use their curriculum. Remember, my goal was always to put missions in front of the kids every single week so they knew that this is what we're doing. And I did the same thing with even giving. I had a little mini lesson that was only about 1 minute to 2 minutes, talked about regular tithes and offerings, and then I would bring in the BGMC offering, talk about that. So how we took the offering is every Sunday, of course, we did the regular tithes and offerings, but then at the end of that, I would talk about missions. And only on the last Sunday of the month, that's when we had the kids bring in their buddy barrels filled with coins to give. I would always talk about missions. Even whether we were taking an offering or not, I always wanted that to be in the kids' minds. Because what you do is when you get the buddy barrels, you send them home with the kids. And they have them for a month. You don't see them for a whole month. And so you're hoping that they're going to be filling it up all month long. Some ideas that I would always give them is, you can mow somebody's yard. You can mow your parents' yard. You can clean your room, whatever chores. But of course, I always talked about how this is above and beyond our regular tithes and offering, right? We don't want the tithes and offerings going towards missions because the tithes and offerings is supposed to go towards God's house. And so I always talk about how it was above and beyond. And, I told them, go look in the cushions of your couch. You'll always find coins there. Or you can ask your parents for the change that's in your car, or find little things that you can do to raise money for, even ask friends and neighbors, things like that. And kids would bring in buddy barrels full of coins, sometimes even dollars. I always encouraged coins because what we would do is when they would bring them in, the boys and girls would have a challenge to see who brought in the most change. But we always did it by weight, not by how much, because it just took forever to count all. You can do that, and there's a way that you can do that I'll talk about, but we always did it by weight. So I always encouraged coins so that there'd be weight. But lots of times kids would bring $20, which is great, but that means your team's not really going to win. And for the prizes, I always either got them from the dollar store, or I brought in, or I bought from BGMC. There's pens, there's frisbees, there's backpacks, water bottles, things like that. One, just because I wanted the kids to always have something that encouraged them to give to missions, whether it's BGMC or even if it's the adult missions. Whatever it is, I wanted missions to be a part of the kids' lives. And so at the end of the month, we'd bring it in. And what I did is I bought this really nifty coin counter because I wanted to keep track of how much it is that the kids are bringing in, and actually specifically each kid, how much they're bringing in, so that they would know. And something that's cool about BGMC is they have little giving handbooks that lists out the whole year, and you can write out how much they brought this month and then the year to date that they have. And they can bring that back every month to do that. They're pretty cheap, so I just had extras on hand. Even if the kids forgot to bring it, I always gave them one so that they knew how much they were bringing in. But that's just an easy way to track for them. And then I would always handwrite how much they brought. But the coins, the counter, was really easy to do because then we could give them a total right away. And so if you want to do a competition between the boys and the girls to see how much you bring in that Sunday, it works that way too. However, sometimes kids will bring in currency from different countries, and because they're pretty similar to the size, it would count it. And so I never wanted to do that, since it would kind of be a false number, and I wanted to tell the kids exactly what they were bringing in. And so that's why we did the weight. So you can do it any way that you want. It's totally up to you. You can do a competition. You don't have to do a competition. It's just one of the fun things that we did to help give an incentive for the kids to bring the offering. Now, I would also show the videos from the missionaries. because it explained exactly what they were doing in that country. And they're all aging missionaries, since this program's from the Assemblies of God. So they're Assemblies of God missionaries who are doing great things around the world. They don't just focus on children, they do a lot of things. But of course, BGMC is solely, the funds from BGMC are solely for kids ministries around the world. And so it was cool to see. There was one, I can't remember what country they're in. I want to say it was somewhere in South America. I don't remember exactly. But what they would do is they would take, or the money that they got from BGMC, they would take that and print the basic gospel scriptures on the backside of a Frisbee, and they would bring it to the kids. And this is something that the kids have never seen. They've never seen a Frisbee in that country. And so it was something new and fun for them to play, but it was also an opportunity for the missionary to present the gospel. And so that's one fun, easy way. Of course, we have Frisbees everywhere. I think they're just kind of not really special here unless you're, of course, playing Frisbee golf or something. But even to hear that there's countries where kids don't even know what a Frisbee is mind-blowing to me, but also to the kids, of course, because they see when we've actually played games with Frisbees all the time. And so it's just a really cool way to show the kids that when we live different lives, it is not the same here in the United States as it is in other countries. And so I really liked that one. But what's really cool about the BGMC curriculum, and there's so much more that I'm not even going to be able to talk about, but they have pre-written letters from the missionary thanking the kids specifically for something that they were able to buy with the funds from BGMC, and what they got to do with it and how they got to spread the gospel. One talked about the Frisbees, another talked about a sound system that they brought in, another talked about how it goes to help teach kids in Sunday school about Jesus, and it goes to their Sunday morning ministries for kids in other countries. And the kids really loved that. I would, like, within the next week after we received the offerings, of course, I took that the roster of who gave and how much they gave, and I would send a letter off to them from that missionary, so that they thought that was really cool. And now I'm not gonna lie, doing this is a lot of work. No matter if you do BGMC or another way that you promote missions, it's going to be a lot of work, but I can guarantee you that it's 100% worth it. You are going to instill a heart of missions into these kids, so that as they grow up, they're going to be focused on, I need to give to missions. I want people around the world to hear about Jesus. And so it's going to be a lot of work. It took me hours out of the week to prepare, to figure out how I'm going to talk about missions the next week. Even writing out or sending those letters, even though they weren't from me, that still took time. And of course, that's a cost that the ministry would have to incur. I always went on social media and I said, hey, we're giving this week, or hey, check this thing out about the missionary or the country we're talking about. Hey, wasn't it cool to learn this last Sunday? And I would always send out the week before a postcard or a letter saying, hey, remember to bring your BGMC buddy barrels this week. Something that I did to help is I got these little, they're plastic bags. They're really cool. They're small, yellow with handles. And what I did is I would put a buddy barrel inside each one, a sheet with the facts of the mission or the country, something like that, and then give all the dates that we were going to be taking a BGMC offering, and I sent those home with the kids, so it was just easy for them to grab and take. And it was just a really cool way to see the kids really take on this challenge to raise money for missions. Kids would literally, it was sad but kind of cool, where kids would be so distraught that they didn't have anything to bring for BGMC that they wouldn't come. And of course, that said, I want them to come regardless of what they bring in. Even if they don't bring anything, I wanted them there. But it was cool to see the kids take that so personal, like, I don't have anything, I want to give to BGMC. Now, honestly, it's probably because they would get a prize or something. But it was just really cool to see these kids we can have a heart for missions. Now, something else that BGMC did that goes along with the curriculum is, and I did this also, it was really fun. I bought, I think I just did 20 at a time, lanyards with BGMC on it. BGMC has them. You can find it at their store. And every kid that gave that month, or everybody that gave at the beginning of the year would get, or the first time, sorry, anybody that would give at the first time would get a lanyard. And whatever country that we're focusing on, BGMC has a little button with Buddy Barrel and maybe an animal from that country, and it said the country's name. And so every month that they gave to that country, or every time that they gave, I would give them the pin from that country. So all year long, they could collect up to 12 different buttons, and kids would bring them monthly, and you could see all the buttons that they were wearing. They wore it very proudly. And again, BGMC has one for every country that they talk about in their curriculum, so you should totally use it. That's one of the fun things that we were able to do to incentivize the kids. So that meant that if you brought in the offering that week, that kid would get that button. And then, of course, at the end of the day, we weighed the change, and whoever won, the boys or the girls, would get the extra special prize. But of course, encourage kids to bring change, because of course dollar bills, although are worth more than coins, do weigh much less than coins. And what I always did to encourage them is I said, we want to change the world. We want to change kids' lives around the world. And one of the ways that we can do that is by literally bringing in our change. And that really it got them excited to bring in coins, because they thought, oh, this change is going to help change somebody else's life. Now, BGMC has tons of curriculum. They have different themes. That's one of the things that I love about BGMC is that they're there to help you in any way possible to spread the news about missions. And one of my favorite things that they did, it was always in March. They did March Missions Madness, where we encouraged the kids to bring the Buddy Barrel every single week. We tallied it all up, and we had a little poster that said March Missions Madness, and every week we'd write down what the kids brought in so they could see how much they were bringing in. Of course, I did a goal for them. I think one year I said, if you bring in $120, you'll be able to turn me into a human taco. And so, well, that's just a fun way to get the parents involved, because parents want to see you get turned into a taco or anything like that. I think one year I did a banana split. They could turn me into a banana split, and that was absolutely cold and freezing. But the taco one was my favorite. So so they reached the 120 mark. Actually, I think they raised $160 that month. And so I got into a little kiddie pool, had my shorts on, and kids poured cheese, beans, tomatoes, meat, sour cream. Oh, it was gross. I had it all in my hair. It was so gross, but it was so fun. The kids loved doing that. Another thing you can do is silly string. One of my other favorites that we would do is a pie in the face, of course. And something else that you can do is every time that we did VBS, we took every day at VBS, we took a missions offering for BGMC. We talked about BGMC every day, even there. And one year we brought, or every year we usually bring in about $150 to $200 for that. And I know most churches do that anyways, but that's just another way to help get the thought of missions into the kids' head. And that's where I always did the pie in the face. And yeah, be careful of that, because if you get up your nose or in your hair, you're going to be smelling like whipped cream forever. Well, anyways, thank you guys so much for joining me. If you guys have any thoughts or questions, you can comment below, or you can email us anytime at curlyfry@gmail.com. And be sure to check out bgmc.ag.org for more information about BGMC. And if you use any of it, we'd love to hear about it. You can post your videos and pictures to our Facebook page. Tag us on Instagram or Twitter. We'd love to see how you do it and what you think of helping kids learn about missions. See you guys.